Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Members present, all except for Council Member Leach. We have approval of the agenda. We have the agenda in front of you. Is there any additions, corrections? Council? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the January 17th, 2018 meeting, the regular meeting and the special meeting. Do we have any changes, corrections, clarification on either one of those meetings? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the January 17th regular meeting and special meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Keith. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. This now brings us to a public open forum. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Seeing no one, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. This now brings us to our reports and presentations. CVB report, Pam Borgman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. 2017 was a good year for the CVB. We took in $52,640.76. That was about $3,500 less than 2016. However, the windmill project was here in 2016, and I kind of credit it to that. We are at sort of a rate that we were at in growing up till last year, or 2016, so it looks fairly steady. Some of the highlights for 2017, we developed a new website and hired Dick Plipnick to do the website and all of our social media. So he takes care of all the posts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and takes care of our website. We also can update our website when we want to, and that's worked out really well. He has put on videos on Facebook and on the website, which has garnered a lot of likes. In fact, we put one on about 2 months ago, and it was about Sauk Center. It was about the parade last year and some of the activities around town, and we got 4,000 likes off that. So we still do our print ads, but our concentration is going more towards our website and our social media pages. Our bus tours are down, especially our overnights. The day trips, we have 3 day trips scheduled for 2018 already, which is good. We're not getting that overnight crowd, and it looks like there's more and more of that going on, where people want to go out for the day, you know, maybe later in the day, but they don't want to be out overnight. They don't want to pay, they don't want to pay the hotel fees. And they're, you know, we're looking at people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they're concerned about their monies. So we're seeing more day trips, and that's all right. They may come back on their own and stay overnight. I handed out an area map that the CVB did for last summer. That was received very well. They get sent out also with all the visitor guides that are sent out to the people that ask for them. We also get requests for the visitor's guide through Explore Minnesota Tourism, and we sent out last year 1,178 visitors guides to various places. That was just from the requests that we had. We also send out to all the information centers throughout the state and different cities that request them. I attended a regional Explore Minnesota conference last year in Walker and got some great marketing ideas from there. And then I also attended the statewide conference in St. Paul last year, and that was very good. They're really stressing social media, and they're really stressing interactive type activities for visitors. They really want to have something to do when they get there, not just look at something. So we're working on that. We did 4 new informational tour cards. We have 4 tours: agriculture, industrial, historical, and recreational. And those get sent out to various group tours. And I also was at a conference for a group tour and brought those along and handed those out to a lot of people who look for tours. They were a lot of homeschoolers, a lot of nursing homes, a lot of continuing education type places also. Let's see. We're going to start this year. We're going to be doing a new trifold coupon for the businesses downtown and put them in the hotel packages and sent them out with our visitors guide also, and we hope that helps bring in some more people. We're going to be working on more art, possibly sculptures. There is a program out of St. Cloud, or not out of St. Cloud, but St. Cloud has done this with their sculptures downtown. I don't know if any of you are familiar with those. Those are rented, and you get a catalog and you can pick sculptures and various artworks to rent. And I think that with our murals, it would be a great addition to have some different types of art around that would help stimulate some more visitors. We're going to start promoting the creamery, and in the spring, we're going to be removing the tin and a lot of the piping and things like that from the outside of the creamery to get it back at least to some of the brick look that's there. We're waiting for a grant now for an assessment of the creamery, which is an architect will come and tell us from top to bottom what needs to be done with it in order to get it into a museum. So we're working on that. And we already have somebody who wants to have a pizza shop in there. So that's very encouraging. We're looking forward to that. And then we continue to do, like I said, the print ads. We continue to advertise for the Sinclair Lewis Conference, the Hockey Association, anything that will bring people into town. We've also helped the Palmer House advertise for their events because they bring a lot of people into town on the weekends that stay over. So we're working on those types of issues also. And we have 3 tours already scheduled for 2018, and it's just the start, so I'm pretty encouraged. Any questions?
Has the Sinclair Lewis, the Interpretive Center closing had an impact?
Huge.
Yes. Because
that was where we got a lot of visitors who picked up a lot of information about Sauk Center. Now we're, as we are, hard to find, and people just don't come downtown and go around several blocks and try to find a visitor center. Yes, it's made a big difference.
Okay. Is there anything, and Vicki, you could probably, is there, as you're coming into town from the east, it's got the sign out there along the highway, and it's got the big closed banner across
Right.
it, if it's going to reappear in some shape or form, I can see that as a temporary thing, but how do you petition the state?
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
okay,
working on it.
okay.
We talked to Vicki about it, and we're trying to work on something to keep it there, but also just to use it, because she has said that once the sign is gone, it's very difficult to get it back,
I
so,
would imagine, but,
we're working on a plan for that.
okay. Just curious, thank you.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see something there also.
Any other questions? The only comment I made, for the people that don't understand where they're getting their money from is the 3%, anyone that stays in a hotel or the campground or that pays a 3% tax. And that is collected by the hotels and given to the city to give to the Convention Visitors Bureau for use for advertising and promoting Sauk Center. So for people that don't understand where this money's coming from, is basically anyone that came from out of town is paying to help advertise Sauk Center and promote us. So,
And there's certain rules about the money. It can't be used in certain instances within 50 miles of the city that you're promoting. However, there is a use for it that we can put some money away if we have a project that we're working on, and it's going to cost, you know, a fairly large sum of money. We can put money away per year in order to make that happen because it's an attraction. So we're working on that also because we think that we're going to need more, especially if our downtown doesn't revive itself. We're going to need a lot more for people to come and see.
one of the other things is our revenue, their revenue comes from people staying in the hotels. But it's a gray area for the Convention Visitors Bureau that they can't use that money to turn around and promote that hotel or motel. You know, that's an awful gray area to get into, and, you know, we want the people in the motels because that's where we get our revenue, but yet we can't promote that hotel purposely for that. So it's a gray area.
Yeah. As a general rule, you can promote your hotels on your website and things like that, but nothing promotional type thing. Now, the website, though, can be used by the hotels if they want to post something on the website, like American posted, had a contest for a free room and come and visit Sauk Center, and it was tied in with the tourism. They can do that, but
Are we
we
charging
can't
for
use our
that?
money.
Are we charging for that?
No.
Okay.
Because they're part of, they're part of why we do what we do. So,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
And so, yeah, that went over really well. And Dick Plipnick has a lot of great ideas. He is done with his term, so we do have a spot open on the board for a new board member, which we're working on too.
Okay.
Okay?
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Pam.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ben.
Takes us to the ambulance year-end report. Kathy?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here with the 2017 year-end report for the ambulance service. Spreadsheet shows for October, we had 66 total calls or runs. Of those, 2 were advanced life support transfers, 16 were basic life support transferred, and 50 of those were billed out, 16 being no loads or special details or canceled calls. And that is just slightly up from last year where we had 64 incidents in the same month, and up from 27 10 years ago. For November, we had 61 total calls or runs. 47 of those were billed out. 3 were ALS transfers, 14 were BLS transfers, and then 14 no loads, cancels, or special details. And that's just down slightly from last year, which was 63, but still up from 10 years ago at 34. December was kind of a slow month for us. We only had 45 incidents. 40 of those were billed out, so we only had 5 no loads, canceled calls in December. 5 of those were ALS transfers and 13 were BLS transfers. So the total I have for 2017 runs is 736, which is down a little bit from 2016, but still up significantly from 2007, 10 years ago, where we had 424. Then you can see the canceled and the no loads, what we're responding to that we're not transporting. Crashes and lift assists being the most significant calls that we're going to that we're not transporting. And I do always like to point out that crashes doesn't mean it was 50 different crashes. We could have a crash with 4 or 5 people, and we do a run report for each one of them. Our receiving facilities, of course, our Central Care Sauk Center Hospital and the St. Cloud Hospital receive the most of our patients. Our special detail events for 2017, we did a standby at the 5K run. We did 3 parades, 5 days of fair booth activity at the Stearns County Fair, 4 demolition derbies we did standby for. We did an escort for the Freedom Riders that came through town. Night to night, we hosted at the ambulance garage. We did 6 football standbys. We did a drill with Black Oak Wind Turbine Farm, and I think that's the total for that special events. In the first and second quarter, we did mutual aid into Melrose's primary service area 4 times. 3 of those we took to Melrose Hospital and once to St. Cloud Hospital. Third quarter, we responded into Melrose's PSA 2 times, once for a medical. And we took that medical patient to Melrose Hospital, and we responded in to assist them with a multi-casualty incident, a crash, where we transported 3 of those patients to Sauk Center because they were transporting a few to Melrose and they couldn't tolerate or handle any more patients, and we brought them over here. Fourth quarter, we did respond into mutual aid for North Ambulance and took that patient to Douglas County. And our Lucas, we used 3 times over the last year. We did get a short-term save out of one of those, but it was only a couple days, and then they did pass away. So we're still hoping for some saves with our Lucas machine. You can see the townships we responded to for the year. Of course, the city of Sauk Center gets the majority. Over 88% of our calls are right in the city limits. 11 calls over into West Union area, and Westport, 10 calls we've had over there over the year. And it's just broken down by township then, where we responded to over the course of 2017. 3 times into Douglas County, 12 times into Polk County, 68 times up into Todd County. We have a very small service area over into Douglas County, so we don't get too many calls over there. And I see that my day of the week map didn't turn out very good on the copy, but I think if I remember right, Saturday was just the slightly highest day that had the most calls over the course of 2017. And male and female patients, females was just over 39%, and male patients are over 50%, and the age bracket, 17.14% of our patients are between the ages of 75 to 84, and that's the highest percentage of our patients. We get 45 to 65 kind of comes in a close second and third after that highest age group. Any questions on that?
Questions, comments? Looks
Otherwise, I can go into
good.
did you want the billing report too then?
Yeah, we might
Okay.
as well.
So this is prepared by Tim. And the billed calls from, he's got the graph for 2012 through 2017. You can see 2017, 565 of our calls were billed out, as opposed to 5 years ago where we had 471. And if you see on the next page, is that the amount that we billed, even though we billed slightly lower than last year. 2017 was 565, and 2016 we billed out 576 calls, so we had a few more calls last year that we billed out, or in 2016. We still, the amount that we billed is higher in 2017. I think that has to do with that rate increase for our mileage. So, billed out over 638,000 for 2017. And then collection, we've collected over 390,000 for 2017, which is up 2.5% from 2016. And then Tim has it kind of specified out for you here on the, where we've collected the money from, because we still were dealing with star claims in 2017. So, you know, 66,000 was collected from them, and the rest from expertise billing, revenue recapture, and then other collections. And the adjusted amount, which is coming up later in the council, is listed there. And our returned files was over 44,000, which were entered into revenue recapture, sent to collections. And there's 18 files that he's not able to collect on. And we have 164 active files with expertise billing right now. Any questions on that?
Questions, comments? Looks good.
Okay,
Good job.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Fire Department Annual Report? You're not the fire chief.
Tonight, I'm the fire chief. I am giving this report on behalf of Steve Mortz, the fire chief. He was unable to attend. This is the 2017 annual report for the fire department. He does have listed out between 2016 and 17. They're up one in structure calls from 10 to 11, up on fire calls from 5 to 12, up on rescue and medical from 7 to 12, down a little bit on accidents. Vehicle accidents from 29 to 23. They're up on gas, smoke, and alarm calls from 14 to 17. They're down on canceled calls or false calls from 21 down to 10, and one less service call from 4 to 3. So the total calls were 90 calls in 16, but 88 in 17, so just down 2 calls. The one thing to note, though, the revenues are up from there because we were able, we're not able to bill on those false or canceled calls. And so that makes up the difference for us right there. They did have, we do bill out to insurance companies when we can and bill out to people for different calls. However, the majority of the income of the department is service contracts with the townships and the city. So when we look at what's billed, it's a little bit different from the ambulance. They bill for health insurance, and we actually, in the fire department, receive the income from the townships and the city for our service contracts. They do, of course, have a limited amount of collections, but those then are credited back on the service call contracts so that everybody kind of shares in that amount. They did receive a few grants and reimbursements. They received $250 from Birchwood Resort, $500 from Minnesota Dark House Angling. Sauk Center Fire Relief donated $51,000 for equipment purchases, and they did receive a grant from the DNR for grass fighting for $1,700. So they had a total of grants and donations of $53,000. We had 2 firefighters retired in 2017, that's Brad Kirkhoff and Keith Polipnik, and we had 2 firefighters that were hired in 2017, which was Weston Wander and Nick Sunderman. They're currently operating with 29 firefighters. They generally would operate with 30. We do like to put firefighters on at least 2 at a time, so for training costs, we kind of share the load a little bit there. And if we have another retirement, which is a potential, then they may come back to the council at that time and say, no, we want to put 2 new people on to make up for that. Interesting to note that where our department is getting younger, where most people's departments are getting older, of our 29 firemen, 16 of them have been here less than 10 years. And so the other 13 are greater than 10. So you can see that we still have 13 greater than 10 years of experience, but we do have a significant amount of younger, which is a good thing because a lot of fire departments are having difficulty keeping those positions filled. The fire department, as far as overall revenues, their revenues for 2017 were up $12,135, and their expenses were down $550. So they did a good job in going the right direction. The only other thing that they have is, that there was an interfund loan from the general fund for the truck, and the truck was over $500,000. I think they currently owe back $67,000 left on the truck, and then that'll be paid for. So, other than that, do you have any questions on the fire department?
Questions? No. Comments? Oh, thank you. Park Board report.
Okay, the park board met last night, actually. It was their meeting at 5 p.m. They had a few action items, or a few items that they talked about. They elected the chairman for 2018 as Brian Fredericks, and the vice chair for 2018 is Ryan Relke. And so they'll be running the meeting. They did discuss the DNR Trail Connection Grant for the Old Main Street Trail. It's something I'll be asking you later on tonight to approve a resolution for that formal application for that. And they also talked about an outdoor recreation grant, and that's kind of for riverbank restoration and fishing opportunities below the dam on that area. And so we're looking at maybe working with the DNR and Sauk River Watershed, but also Stearns County Soil and Water on some design work, and we're going to try to put that together, and if that comes together, we'll be back in front of the City Council for approval to apply for that. We did discuss the proposal for a fitness park, like kind of think Ninja Warrior type stuff, and it's actually for children and adults to do, and if you go on the website and you look at Golden Valley, Minnesota, they just put one in, and they have some different videos about it. It's pretty interesting, and we do have some different organizations in the community that are interested in that. So we'll work with that forward and see how that pans out, and if the city's interested in that. We did review the meeting calendar for 2018, and we do not have a meeting on July 3rd, which is the day before the 4th, or November 6th, which is elections, and they kind of all agreed to that. Otherwise, they'll be meeting monthly. And they are recommending to move forward with the campground attendant hiring, and so that'll come back before the council, probably either next meeting or the one following that. Campground rentals, they've been going full swing. Our holiday weekends are mostly filled already. There's still some available, and then the Stearns County Fair as well, but I mean, they're getting up there. And we have 7 seasonal available sites. That's pretty normal, and we have a waiting list, so we're working to fill those now. And also, they had one member that hasn't been in attendance real regularly, so we're reaching out to him to see if he wants to continue to serve. The only action item they have tonight is that recommendation on the DNR trail grant, which will be later.
Okay. Questions? Okay. EDA report.
Okay, the EDA met today at noon. It was their regular session. They also elected officers for the year. Kevin Uphoff is the president, Jeannie Marthaler, vice president, and Warren Stone is the secretary treasurer. You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know that.
Congratulations.
What happens when I have to go to one meeting and miss another one?
Yeah,
Yes.
that happens. They did receive an update from the Chamber of Commerce. I think they do have a board opening at the Chamber of Commerce now, so if anybody's interested in serving on that board, some business owner or in the community, make sure to check with Jennifer over at the Chamber office. We also did receive a development request for development assistance for our Felling Trailers expansion, so they will be working on that to see how that's going to move forward and the jobs it'll bring to the community and the tax base, of course, so we'll be working through that. And we also have a potential housing TIF project as well for somebody to help with some utility costs for some fourplex type townhomes in the community. So those are the things the EDA is meeting on. They probably will have at the March meeting, they'll probably have more information on that expansion, but it is possible based on the rate, how we're going, that I may have at the next council meeting a request to pass a resolution to call a hearing for that, because the actual action items happen at the council level. So that's all I have.
Questions? Comments? Okay. We will then move on to action items. 7A, Ambulance Department Annual Medicare Adjustment.
This action item is what Kathy had referred to. Each year there's federal mandated adjustments. We have agreements with Blue Cross that you only bill so much. You have Medicare has caps on everything. So although we billed out $618,000, we're mandated to write off $222,862.55 of that. So we kind of come with that net amount. In addition to that, we have uncollectible accounts, and we used to use Star Claims, and now we Expertise. Star Claims finally turned the last of their accounts back to the city, that these are just not collectible, and those are the 18 accounts that we're requesting to be written off for $11,582.40. So the action item that I'm looking for tonight is to approve the annual adjustments from billing of $234,444.95.
Questions? Comments? This is something we do every year, whether we like to or not. We have no choice because it's federally mandated. So, do I have a motion to approve annual adjustments from billing of $234,444.95?
Motion to approve.
A motion by Dave, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7B, approve ordinance 777, amending membership on CBB.
At the January 3rd meeting, the policy committee was tasked with reviewing the city code regarding membership on the Convention and Visitors Bureau's board. The committee met, and after reviewing the existing code, they have 2 recommended changes. The first change is we would amend the eligibility requirements by removing the language that say they shall be representatives of the lodging or hospitality industry, and just inserting representative businesses and/or individuals within the community. So kind of open it up to more people. Maybe you're not in the lodging or hospitality, but maybe you're great at something else, and that's where your passion is. And what we're really looking for is people that are movers and shakers and doers, and so we want to open that up. And the second thing was to remove the term limits. The city council, you have the express authority to appoint people, and they have to be reappointed every 3 years. If you feel someone's not doing the job, or if someone else wants to go in there, it's your job to put the right people on that board. So the term limits kind of didn't really fit with what your task is, so they're recommending to take that out as well. What I have following that is the existing language that's struck through, and the underline is the new language. So basically what we're doing is taking out the lodging and hospitality and just saying we're going to have representative businesses and individuals serving on that board, and there will be no term limits. And that's laid out in Ordinance 777.
Questions, comments? I think this is a lot better change
Yeah.
and
Yep.
gives more opportunity for the public to be involved in promoting Sauk Center. If there's no other comments or questions, do I have a motion to approve Ordinance 777, amending membership qualifications for Convention and Visitors Bureau?
So moved.
A motion by Keith, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7C, approve board appointments.
We do have 2 board appointments for you tonight, and one of those would be for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And the request is to appoint Pam Durbin, and that would be for 3 years. This actually was her term, but because of the term limits, she wasn't able to be appointed before, so now if you determine to do that, then she would be able to serve. And the second is for the Airport Commission. We did have 1 vacant position, and that has been requested to be filled by Joe DeVitro. And if anybody has met him, he's actually the pastor up at Faith Baptist Church, and came where Ron Hemsworth used to be up there, and he's up there, and he's just got his pilot's license, so he's pretty excited. And it's good to have people that have that passion to be on the airport board, so he will be joining them with your blessing. So that is the 2 appointments I'm requesting tonight.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to make the appointments to be approved as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Dave, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7D, approve step increase, Public Works Supervisor.
Okay, Matt Zinniel has completed his 3rd year with the City of Sauk Center Public Works Department. He did receive a satisfactory or above satisfactory in many areas. I'll just highlight, I'd noted the kind of creativity and cost-saving solutions on how we can take projects and make them work differently to save money. He got high marks for being comfortable in decision-making, in-house project management, maybe contrary to the city engineer, but in-house project management, I think, was one of the strengths. And then working with other organizations like the Baseball Association, Hockey Association, Sauk Center Schools, MnDOT, DNR, and the Sauk River Watershed. So as such, he's scheduled to advance to step 5 of the non-union pay scale effective on his anniversary date of today. So I'm requesting to approve the advancement of Matt Zinniel to step 5 of the non-union pay schedule effective February 7th, 2018.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve the advancement of Matt Zaniel to step 5 of non-union pay scale effective February 7th, 2018?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against.
We were supposed to wait a long time before the motion was made to make him sweat.
Make him sweat, sure. Approve appointments, probationary EMTs.
So earlier, last fall, you approved different people to attend EMT classes on behalf of the city, and if they were successful, they would come back to be appointed as probationary EMTs. We have 3 such people that have done that, and they are Ben Klink, Chris Devens, and Shannon Olson. Kathy Strufert, Director of the Ambulance Service, has submitted 3 letters of recommendation, and you've been provided those in your packet, so I don't think I need to read those to you.
No.
But so what we're requesting tonight is to approve the appointments of Ben Klink, Chris Devens, and Shannon Olson as probationary EMTs with the Sauk Center Ambulance Department. And during the probationary period, they have to, demonstrate skills and have so many patient contacts and that type of thing. And then she will come back then to actually make them a regular EMT once they successfully make it through their probation.
Questions, comments?
Oh, are you full now yet, or are you still?
We've got 19, but we have 2 that are going to be resigning soon,
Oh,
so
Okay.
we'll still be short. Like we've got 20 at the minimum, 22 almost now with our follows that we do.
okay. Okay, thank you.
But we still have 2 more in training.
Okay. So we're always looking for people that are interested in being on the ambulance. Do I have a motion to approve appointments of Ben Klink, Chris Devens, and Shannon Olson as probationary EMTs with the Sauk Center Ambulance Department?
So moved.
We have a motion by Keith, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against.
Actually, I think it's Shannon Olson Anderson. That was my mistake.
Okay. 7F, approve resolution 2018-07 authorizing grant application.
After preliminary screening for eligibility of the Minnesota DNR Trail Grant for the construction of the Old Main Street Connecting Trail, we've been invited to submit formal application. If you recall, a couple meetings ago, we had mentioned that I had applied for this grant, and I did send it in, and they reviewed it, and they said, yeah, this is a worthy project. I want you to submit formal application. So we are completing that and including letters of support by Fairway Pines, Blend, the apartment building, various organizations are submitting letters of support for the application. One of the things they did note was if it went by anything historic or cultural, and we do have the Indian mounds there, and so they had suggested, well, can you do a little kiosk or a little bump out or a bench or something along the trail? So we did include that. The estimated costs, which include the trail and the bump outs with the benches and perhaps a split rail fence near the Indian burial grounds with an information kiosk, the total outside cost is $80,000. The city is required to match 25% with non-state funds. So the commitments by the city would include, we would contribute our match of $20,000. And, this is part of our project, so this would actually, if awarded, would bring that total cost down. That we would construct it prior to 2020. That we will comply with laws, environmental regulations, and requirements, that we will maintain the trail for a minimum of 20 years, and that the city officials have no conflict of interest relating to the project. And I did include the resolution supporting the grant application. It's 2018-07. So what we're looking for is to approve resolution 2018-07 supporting the grant application for the DNR Local Trail Connection Program.
Comments? Questions?
What do you estimate the cost to maintain the trail for 20 years?
Well, we have the other trail that we maintain, the one that goes by the park. And I know that we've crack-filled it once in the last 12 years. So, I mean, it's not a lot of maintenance. I know
Well, that's
that in
snow
the
removal.
wintertime, that one we don't do in the winter. This one we'd probably sweep in the winter, similar to we do the one that goes out to Morning View. So when we're doing sidewalks or whatever, you go on the trail and they drive down the trail and back to clean that up as well. I didn't put a dollar amount to the actual maintenance, but I do have to have that for the application, so I will be calculating that out, and maybe Matt can give you a better off-the-cuff idea of how much that would be. But that is
Okay.
something that we would have to commit to do to maintain it.
All right.
Any other questions, concerns? I think it would be, to apply for it isn't
To
gonna
apply
hurt
for it is
anything.
easy enough, yeah.
And if we do get something, we can always, if we do get it, we can
Well,
decide.
there may be
on the
repercussions for
project
getting
then.
it and saying, no, that's
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah,
you
right.
pay for down the road.
Right, but it would also maybe help solve our problem of if we should have something there or not.
Right, yep.
We've been through that discussion
Oh, yeah.
a couple times. So, Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2018-07 supporting the grant application for DNR Local Trail Connection Program?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Keith. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, 2018 Capital Improvement Plan Project.
So Chuck is here tonight to talk a little bit about this improvement project, but I did include a couple draft maps. The design elements that we need to finalize for this project before we can go to bid is actually storm-related. We had a couple different options. We had we have 3 actually, but the one is existing. We'd have 2 new storm structures and discharge to the lake. That was the standard one that we had originally looked at. Then we talked with the owners of the country club, and we had to just have 1 new storm structure and then have ponds along Country Club Road. And then the third option was to just use the 1 new storm structure and discharge to the golf course. So there's some benefit to us to have the water go to the golf course versus going to the lake. And so we did meet with representatives of the country club, and now we kind of have a 4th design. A little bit. It's still discharging to the golf course. It's just the ponds would be in a little different area and wouldn't have so much pipe involved, trying to generate more cost savings. And so Chuck is here from Stantec to talk a little bit about those designs and what it means to the city. We're trying to come to a resolution of exactly where that water is going to go, what does that mean to the country club, and what it means to the city. And I think, did you bring some maps, Chuck, for them? I gave them the preliminary ones that we had, but I think he's got some other maps for you to take a look at, and then you can ask him any questions about how that would work.
We have maps of what the 2 ponds would look like.
Okay.
This meet from yesterday. So this one is on Lake Shore and passes around, and this pond is on Main Street.
Okay. So Main Street, and here's Lake Shore.
The piping that you see is from the second option, and it changed to, that just got left on. So the pond on Main Street, on the first one, it was actually collecting the water drainage from the street and dumping it right into the pond, which is adjacent to the street. The one on Lake Shore, we'll be piping that stormwater from Country Club. So from the Elm Street, Oak Street drainage, it'll drain to Country Club and then north on Lake Shore into that pond in the low spot there.
Okay. So Lakeshore Drive. The one on Lakeshore Drive is located more north of the clubhouse then?
Yep, it's north of the clubhouse where the existing outlet to the lake is,
Okay.
right there.
And there, and then the one on Main Street is basically across from, not Fairway Pines, but probably a little farther north?
Right on the boundary of Fairway Pines and the new apartments, or the south apartments.
That space between?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So that was the option we discussed with the golf course yesterday. We had the ponds in the existing ponds that we're going to utilize, but they wanted the ponds in a different area for various reasons, but so that's the latest option. And the cost savings for those 2 ponds was $110,000 to the project
Okay.
in storm-related costs.
Council got any
I
questions?
guess, I mean, the numbers is, I don't need to know the cost. You're telling me things, but I don't have comparisons, so it's hard to say anything.
Sure. That $110,000 is compared to the base project storm that we had in the feasibility report.
Okay.
So we had 2 storm scepters on Lake Shore, one in the low spots just north of the hospital, and then one north of Country Club and Lake Shore intersection where the existing outlet to the lake is. We eliminated the one on Lake Shore and Country Club with this option. And then there are some other cost savings with removal of pipe, less pipe and
Yeah.
such.
The one,
I mean, you're looking for direction, but I don't have all the numbers in front of me to compare them. You know, you could talk, it's less than that one, okay, I don't know where the other one sat. And what costs have been factored in?
Yeah, if you want to, you're asking if you want costs for the other 3 storm golf course options?
Well-
Was that your question?
Well, the comparison of all 3.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, we don't have a comparison.
Right here. So, the bottom, you can see all 3 storm.
So this is 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yes, country club ponds, the 3 that we had originally.
Okay.
Then we had the 2 existing pond design, then we have this current one.
Okay. What this is option 1 is to use the 2 storm structures and discharge to the lake. That's basically construction cost savings. Now, if we do 3 ponds along Country Club Road on the golf course side, the project cost savings would be about $44,000. If we do the 2 existing golf course ponds that are already on the golf course and discharge that with the extra piping, but you're looking at a project cost savings of $82,600. And then if we go with the golf course owners' options of where they would like to see 2 extra ponds put in, it actually, the project cost savings are $110,000. So, but based on the things with the golf course is based on, we're gonna have to get easements from them before we can actually see them, the benefit
So
of
these
the
are-
project
These are
cost.
construction costs, but there'll be easement costs weighed against those.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, in one case, we have ponds that are up on North Main. Right? We have at least the one with the pond that's halfway up Main Street North,
That's for
Okay.
the apartment house,
up by
right?
the apartment house.
Yeah,
That's on the
there.
east side of the road.
Now, at this time, that section of the project isn't necessarily going through because of easement and cost concerns. So obviously, if we don't pull North Main off, this is fine, but if we didn't want to rebuild North Main Street, well, then we have no way of getting the stormwater to that pond.
Well, the pond that's
So-
up there by the new apartments is their own pond for their own drainage. It's not,
Well, I'm just looking at the one he was just
Oh.
talking about on the
Well, this
golf
would-
course side.
this would be on the west side, right? On the-
Yeah, so
Right.
I mean, if we're not rebuilding Main Street, then the stormwater's not going there. So there's a commitment there, and we've talked about whether we would do Main Street because of issues with assessments.
Right.
Well, if we choose to go this route, we don't have that choice anymore. We're committing to that cost, so.
You following?
There are things that tie together here.
Yeah.
I understand where you're coming. Now, we were back here a couple meetings ago and asked if we were going to continue Main Street North, and we got the feedback that yes, we were. So we're
And
basing.
it
we're-
continues with the understanding that we all had that we can always drop it later.
Well, right. But, okay, so this plan that we're looking at assumes that we're doing Main Street North.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and what we're doing here is similar to when we did Center Street, and then we got storm pond easements from Fleet Supply, and then we basically purchased those easements through a reduction in assessments.
Yep.
Okay, so that's where we're at with this and working with the golf course. It's kind of a benefit to both parties. To the golf course, they're maybe getting water and getting some reduction in assessments, and a benefit to the city in that we're not putting that water in the lake, that it's going to the golf course, and it'll have a lot more opportunity to, soak into the ground, to infiltrate into the ground. So it's kind of like a green alternative, if you will. And so we're working very hard with the cliques to see if we can come to some kind of agreement. If the council feels that it's a good idea to go to ponds on the golf course, then we will meet with them again and we will try to negotiate that easement and see what the net cost would be. Really is, it's worst case scenario, we go back to the original plan and it's in the lake and that's where we're at. If we can make it come to an agreement that benefits both parties, I think that we both win. So what we're really looking for tonight, We really want to know, does the council think that's a good idea? Are we going in the right direction? And if you are, we want to finalize that for a final action at the next meeting, because we are down to the wire. We really should have had final direction already for the city engineers to get this done, to get it out to bid. But we felt that it was important enough to research this option that we would bring it back to you. And if we go there, if we come back next time, we would say, this is the credit, this is the cost, this is the easement, this is how it's going to work, this is what it's going to look like, and you'll have everything in front of you to make that final decision. And if up to 2 of you want to be involved in that process, that's great. We'll have another meeting with them to talk about this, and you can certainly be in attendance, so.
I know the plan with the 3 ponds or 2 ponds along Country Club Road, to me, I didn't like that design. It
was questionable.
It was a very questionable design, where this way here, there was a concern in the public meeting that, this whole project's being done to benefit the golf course, blah, which we knew wasn't the case. But now the golf course people are trying to work with us to help reduce the project costs, which will eventually reduce some, the assessments for that area. If we can work this out, and to not look at that option, I think is not doing justice for the people that are affected up there.
And there's a couple other, ancillary benefits to it. All of a sudden, they're their ponds to maintain. When the pop bottles wash out there and different things, they'll be the ones out there picking it up, and they'll be mowing them and taking care of them. And we will have one less storm scepter to take care of every year. So,
Right.
There's some of those kinds of benefits that you don't necessarily see at the time of construction, but long-term, it will, it'll add up. But if you feel that that's the way we want to go, that's what we want to put that together and come back to you with a final arrangement. And if that's the case, that's what we'll do. Other than that, I don't know, Chuck, do you have any other design questions? Or was it mostly that was it?
Storm's kind of been
Storm has been the
That's
thing
the
that's
holdup. Yeah.
been holding us up. And maybe Dave, maybe you want to meet with them or come in for more detail and look at that?
Well, when you've run these cost savings, and that includes all the extra pipe you're putting in on the golf course property, looks like a lot going in.
On the sheets, there's 2 options on those sheets. The one pipe going across was for option 2.
Yep.
No, that pipe was gone with option 3. We met yesterday, and we designed the ponds this morning, so they got on there real quick, so we just left the pipe.
Okay, so I don't have them sitting here, so we don't have a lot of, you're running into the ponds, and it doesn't have a drain out of the pond anywhere then? It just goes into the pond and
It's a collector.
For a 10-year storm.
they'll have to deal with it one way or the other, okay?
It will have an emergency overflow, the one along Lake Shore will, then it'll have the existing
Okay.
drainage down to the lake.
Yep,
That'll be, you'll have emergency overflow there. The one on Main Street will not, that's, other than if it crests enough, it'll go across the golf course, but
okay.
I don't remember that.
Are these infiltration ponds then that they've got, or are they
Yeah.
designed to hold water?
They'll be dry ponds.
They are, okay. All right,
What's the council's wishes? Keep exploring the option of lowering the costs, or you got
Yes.
an option that you really want to go with, or?
I think we should continue exploring.
I agree.
are you looking for a motion or just
I
direction?
think it's,
Just consent.
Just direction,
Just
yeah.
consent,
Yep. We're not opposed to saving money.
Yes.
Okay, does that help? I know there's gonna be a lot more talk and discussion, and if anybody wants to be involved in it, I'm sure Vicky can get a hold of you and,
Okay.
Okay, we'll then move on to, new business, 2018 ambulance purchase.
Just to remind you that the 2009 ambulance rig is up for replacement. We're on that 9-year rotating program. So we did a new one every 3 years, and that seems to be working about right for the mileage and everything. So I think this will we'll get some numbers together for the operations committee, and then they'll be able to look at the mileage and the use of each rig and see if that 3-year rotation is still the way we want to go. The ambulance typically is able to, after 3 years, purchase one, without any financing, so we'll go that direction. That's just kind of an FYI.
Is that okay with the council as it goes to operations?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. That will now bring us to our consent agenda. We have a schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $203,757.71, paid claims of $80, for a total of $203,837.71. We have resolution number 2018-08, accepting contributions of $233.66 from the men's card playing group to be allocated to the senior center, and $500 from the Innocent Relke family to be allocated to the ambulance. I want to thank those two groups for their contribution on behalf of the city. Is there any other questions on the consent calendar? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion by Keith, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Any last minute comments? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Informational items?
Just have a couple items here, the term of Don Leonard, and that is on the HRA board. I don't have that on there, but that is the HRA, and their board has a different term. So theirs expires on March 31st, 2018. We will be placing an ad in the Herald regarding the vacant seat. If anybody is interested, the length of that term is 5 years. And the other thing I have in there is safety committee meeting minutes, and they're there for your review. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions on the informational items? That brings us to our end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Dave, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.